Hello, everyone, and welcome to our workshop, Social Media Marketing Planning for Small Businesses. Although social media marketing planning can be done for medium-sized businesses or larger businesses, but in this case, we'll focus on those entrepreneurs or small businesses who are just starting out or who have been in business for a few years. You can treat this workshop as a presentation to give you an overview of what planning entails, or you can go step by step and actually do some of the exercises or think to your own business and do some of those reflections and exercises that I will go over. My name is Denise Olivas, and I'm a digital marketer with 11D Marketing, and I'm very excited to talk to you about this topic. I have been in business for over 9 years as a digital marketer and in marketing for over 20 years. I am also a marketing lecturer, a small business advocate, because I really want our communities to grow and to have solid ecosystems and foundations that allow small business owners to thrive. And I also focus on diversity entrepreneurship, which is a very important aspect of the growth of our small communities and nation as well. You can always contact me through LinkedIn, through email, or Twitter, and we'll just get started. We'll get right into what we're going to be covering. And so it's really important to take a look at planning as something that needs to be done on a consistent basis. So I'm going to be highlighting for you today the best practices and the steps that you can take in order to create a plan. Whether you want to do a long plan or a shorter plan, it's up to you, but at least you will have the basis for doing this. And it's really interesting to see as well that this particular planning structure is very similar to a marketing plan. So if you've done a marketing plan before, we're going to be looking at this from a social media perspective. And if you've never done one before, as many small businesses haven't had the chance to sit down and do a business plan or a marketing plan, you will learn the very basic steps to create your own. So we're going to be talking about all of these topics here: why it's important to plan, what are those elements, and then we'll go through each of those elements, as you can see here: the audit, the analysis, the target market, goals and objectives, strategies, and measuring, and return on investment. So just to give you an overview on how important social media is, we see that according to Hootsuite social media statistics, over 4.62 million people are social media users in the world. And they connect regarding their family members. They want to connect to family, friends, or they want to see the news. So the average user has about 7.5 profiles on social media. So you can see that it's really important for a business to be on these platforms, whichever platform is necessary for you to reach your businesses, because it's a trend and it's here to stay. So it's something that it's growing. It has grown over time, and we'll see that technology will play a big role in how people communicate within the next few years. So you can see a few stats here in terms of ad spending. It is estimated that $173 million will be spent here in the US on social and digital media. On average, the users will spend over 2 hours online looking at content, talking to each other, referring businesses, etc. And usually younger men and women are the ones who are very active on these platforms. Women tend to spend a little bit more time on social media, 3 hours and 18 minutes on average. 89% of all users are on Facebook, and 59% of users have left a business when they have felt that they have not been listened to or the business didn't take care of them. So think think, which platform do you usually use to connect to your businesses, um, the businesses that you purchase from, and have you ever switched businesses due to a lack of communication between you and the company, or maybe you just didn't like the content that they were posting, or is there a particular brand that you specifically like? And also think about the platforms you use to connect to your customers and what kind of content you utilize to make a point. With that in mind, again, we have to take a look at why are we doing this? Why pay attention to planning? What's the intention behind it? And so the major reason why a lot of social media practices have failed, content that failed to bring your clients in through the door or online to purchase your products or services, is because there's no planning on your part or on a business part. So usually poor planning or fail to plan at all is the culprit. Even if you do have an agency that it's working with you, if they're just posting content automatically and they don't do a specific plan for you that works for your industry and your kind of business, it will be very difficult to attain any specific goals. So if you have a solid plan, that's going to increase the chances of attaining your goals and objectives. It gives you a roadmap as to where you are right now, what you want to create, and how you're going to go about it, and how are you going to decide if this is actually working or not. It also clarifies who your target market is, which is very important, and knowing who the person that is your best customer and you can better serve. And the other aspect of a planning document, such as this one that we're going to be looking at, is that it is a living, breathing document, and it can be changed if needed. You don't really need to stick to it if it's not working for you, or forget about it. Many businesses just create it and forget about it, but you always have to go back and review what worked and what didn't. So it's really important to be clear about what you want to do this, and have an intention that this plan, while executed, it will bring you to success. So what are the elements of planning? And like I mentioned to you before, you can have a short plan or a very long plan. Usually you have anywhere from 10 to 13 sections on a plan. You could do something very short and concise if it's just you working on your business, or you can have a bigger plan that is maybe 25 to 40 pages, that is very detailed and that you can share with all of your employees and your business partners, or even a bank if you're looking for a loan as well, for a specific project, or to expand your digital marketing capabilities. So you can do a short one. It could be a few pages, just bullet points on each of these items, or it could be the long version as well. So you always start with the industry summary, although that is done last after you finish all of your other sections, but you always put that in the front. You're going to also do a lot of research, a lot of testing, auditing, knowing yourself before you can actually set objectives and goals that will take you to that success. You're also going to be looking at your target, creating personas, creating those strategies that will go back to your goals and objectives, and also deciding which platforms you will use and what are those strengths and weaknesses of those tools is very important here. And then, the implementation part of it, creating the content, what kind of content you're going to be creating, and then also measuring and looking at your return on investment are some of the elements that are very important. When it comes to social media plan, you're going to be shifting a lot of these items to the digital part or the social media part. So the social media audit is going to be really important to know more about yourself and about the brand as a whole and what others are doing as well. The SWOT analysis will also be looked at through a lens of social media, your objectives, your strategies, and your platforms and your content are very, very social media driven. So we'll take a look at each of these sections so that you can know a little bit about it. But the point here is that you can go really long or you can go short and sweet, so that you can at least have something written down, whether it's by hand or in your document, your computer, that can give you, again, that roadmap for the future. So right now, think of an example of a small business or a nonprofit organization that you feel needs social media planning or a better strategy on content and scheduling. And think about why you feel that they're lacking, those that type of content that will connect with you in a better way. Or even think about your own business. Why do you think you need social media planning, and why? Why are you watching this video, right? Is it because perhaps you're not doing as well as you would like to, or you would like to really expand and create something better and be very, very intentional with your clients, which is a reason why many businesses go to planning, because this allows you to be intentional and create that connection, better connection, by being more insightful and spending more time thinking and strategizing your content. So what I will use here is an example of a spa. This is Gemeli Spa and Beauty Bar. This is a new full-service spa in the area of El Paso, Texas. And who doesn't love a one-stop shop, right, for all of your spa needs? And so this is an industry that has been growing, over 17 billion in revenue estimated for the year and for following years, and growth of 7.5% in profit margin. So there's still an opportunity for spas to grow, especially those that focus on healing and medical services. They tend to grow at a faster pace at this time. So this particular service spa, you can see our owner, Mrs. Leticia Ramirez Norman, who wants to create awareness and bring more people into her business. Because she's a new business, we just started with her social media platforms, and we started with Facebook and Instagram because her target market is there. So she's targeting females 18 to 65 as well as males. Those are the main focus. And we also know that looking at this industry, it has also been affected by COVID and by the new diseases that have been popping up, and also discretionary income, which is the income that's left after people have paid all of their bills and their costs of living. So we take a look at the shifting industry, and we, based on the elements that we talked about, you look at the industry as a whole, get some background, and then move forward when it comes to the audit. So going back a little bit, we did the industry analysis for this particular business, for this particular industry. We got lots of insights about everything: the target market, the growth, the profit margin, the locations, the types of services, etc. Now it's time to look at the business itself and what it has done so far. What is being said by people about the company. And especially when you're a very small business and you're just starting, you will see that there's not a lot going on, but there are still things you can do to check in and see what's happening. So in our case, you can set up a table for each of the platforms. You can take a look at the sentiment of what people are saying. It could be positive, neutral, or negative. If you have any analytic tools, you can see like Hootsuite, you will see that there's an opportunity there for looking at the sentiment of the posts. So you can take a look at that. You can also take a look at the number of followers or fans that you have, which is, in this case, still growing, just starting. How many posts are being created and posted weekly? What are the top posts and how many people it has reached? Like in this case, there was a post that reached 763 people with 62 engagements. And the average response time for customers who are asking or sending messages is 1 to 2 hours. In the case of Instagram, it might be a little bit longer, but it might also be an hour to 2 hours. So once you've looked at this, it gives you an idea of where you stand, and it gives you a little bit more incentive to continue to grow based on what you have found. Next, we're going to take a look at the SWOT analysis. And if you're familiar with this term, the SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, which are internal to the company, and opportunities and threats that are outside in the environment. In the digital sense, you take a look at what you are as a brand, your followers, your strategy. In this case, the strengths of Gemelli is a well-designed brand, an owner that's very supportive of social media and wants to grow. And maybe some of the weaknesses will be that these are new accounts and there are not that many followers, or maybe the resources might be lower. Usually when you're starting a business, you will have lower resources, and as it grows, your resources will expand. And then you can look at the outside opportunities, and you can take a look at the platforms and the opportunities that those bring to target the right person. Like Facebook and Instagram can still reach a lot of Gemelli's audience, and TikTok is a platform that might be a good opportunity for the spa to tap into. Threats will be other spas with really strong presence online, so you can actually list the spas and their statistics. Other threats that you might come across is your target marketing changing preferences for platforms and switching over to newer ones. So you always have to keep an eye on what's happening with your target market and what are the trends in social media, so that you can actually find your target market in the right platforms. And that's a big one, is usually changing preferences and wanting different content and different things. Okay, so the next topic would be your target market and personas. And usually a business owner will know who their target market is. You know that there's a specific demographic that you're looking after, a specific psychographic or lifestyle or behavior that you're looking at. And that's perfect. Many times this will help to give you a better idea of who your target market is. And it's a good exercise to write down the features of your target market. Going a step further though, creating a persona will give you that connection to the story of that person who you are targeting. And you can really enjoy writing a nice little story about this person, giving them a name, and listing their demographics, their likes and dislikes, their needs, etc. So it's really helpful to have an exercise where you actually create the persona. For Gemelli Spa and Beauty Bar, we have several personas, as you can see here. And one of them is Rachel, who is 35 years old and has a specific income, a master's degree, married with children, etc. Right? As you can see, all the demographics are the basics, and usually what business owners know about their clients. Sometimes they don't know, but sometimes they do. But we go further by looking at a story. What's her background, and what does she do for a living, and what is she looking for? Why is she stressed out? For example, why does she need a massage? How often does she get massages? Does she take care of herself? What is her behavior? She works full time, high achiever, has a lot of things going on, family, kids, etc. So you want to break that apart. What are her pain points? Does she have headaches, back pain? What is her lifestyle? What kind of media does she look at? Who are her influencers? So all this information allows us to create content that is geared towards Rachel. And it's very helpful because you can share this with your employees. You can share with the people who do your marketing, and they are more able to have a picture of who this person is and write content that is geared specifically to that person. So she's our busy professional. Monica, Leo, Roberto, and Maria are also, specific types of personas that we focus on, and they each have their different needs and pain points. And so while we create the content, we can utilize photos and testimonials and content that specifically relates to those people, our clients or potential clients. Next is setting goals and objectives. We can interchange this word many times. You set goals or you set objectives, and it means the same thing. I would like to go a step further and pinpoint that you can create overall generic goals for your business, and then you can be more specific about your objectives and use a SMART approach. So overall, the objectives will be something like increasing the number of followers and on social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram, and provide a space for booking appointments and getting information, create awareness of the spa, focus on women and men 18 to 65 or 25 to 45, depending on who your target market is, right? Strengthen the brand among professional men and women, drive electronic word of mouth, increase bookings, etc. Right? These are generic overall goals. But if you don't know the specific number, then you cannot measure it. So that's where the SMART objectives come. And the SMART objectives are really specific. They're measurable, they're attainable, of course. They're realistic, and they are timely. And so more specific, if we look at the first goal, we saw to increase the number of followers on the platforms. So being more specific would be increase followers to a total of 1,000 for each platform for a year. And this by doing 80 to 100 followers per month. Right? This could be higher or lower depending on your resources. It's up to you what kind of numbers you think you can attain, but they have to be realistic. So it's really important that you take the SMART acronym into consideration, that you give yourself a timeline, a year, for example, and then how you're going to break it down into months, weeks, quarters, etc. And then at the end, you'll go back and you'll measure your results. And that's how you know if you attain that or not. And if you need to make changes or, adjustments, you can always do so. Remember that your plan is a living, breathing document. Another goal, another specific objective will be to develop brand awareness by 5% as measured by likes, comments, shares, and posts reach on a quarterly basis. So that gives you very specific instructions on what you want to attain and by when. So be specific and make sure that it's doable, that you can actually attain these results based on your budget. Next, you develop the strategies that will take you from where you are to your objectives. So, for example, here is a very highly focused and effective strategy for the campaign. The point will be to channel all of the resources into all of these strategies to attain the goals that we set forth. So one of the strategies will be to audit and listen to the web to determine how the brand is being mentioned. The other one will be to interact with customers and potential customers on these platforms, but really act as a contributor and helper in the wellness industry. And rather than selling something to your customer, you want to be useful and provide the right information for them that they need through an article, through a video, through question and answer session, through a live, Facebook live video, through a reel, things like that will be very, very helpful. You might also want to, collaborate with other businesses and share potential clients and followers and fans, and provide promotions for each other. But rather than promoting so much on social media, the point is to cultivate that relationship, because the relationship is what social media is about: creating community, creating connections, and helping each other. So this is very important to take a look at. Next, you're going to tie your strategies to the personas. So you're going to be choosing the platform that you will be using. One thing we like to do is to set a table where the persona is the name is set, like Rachel we have on here. And then we describe which platforms we're going to be using. We're going to be using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube to reach her. And we're going to be using all of these tools like Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Google Trends, Social Mention, Google Analytics, and MetaSuite to manage and create content and to analyze content. So it's very, very helpful to have an idea of who the persona is, what their likes and dislikes are, what kind of media they like to watch, where do they get their messages from, or how are they influenced, and then what tools can we use to create that content and to analyze and measure results, which is really important. The next step is to say how you're going to implement it. What is your action plan? So in a regular marketing plan, you will usually see the action plan section. This is the same thing. How are you going to implement? What kind of content you're going to create? So you can create a table as just like the one that you see here, where you have what is the action you're going to take based on the goal you have set already. Who's going to do this? Who's going to be doing this? And what kind of budget do you have to do that? So for example, our action here is to create stories and engaging content, boost posts, invite followers who are likely to follow back. And, our goal is to increase the followers and create awareness. It's basically creating that connection with new and potential clients. And you can always say, well, so-and-so is going to be doing this, this particular task, and here's our budget. Your budget can be $100, it could be $200, it could be $500, it could be $1,000, based on what you feel is the right budget for you and how fast or slow you want to attain your goals. It's up to you really to set your budget. And then you're going to talk about how you're going to create a calendar. That's something that we highly recommend, is to have a content calendar so that your team can plan in advance, like each of the months or quarters, more or less what kind of content you want to do. You also don't want to set your content too strictly because things change and shift. So you want to make sure you have some flexibility to introduce new things, but at least you can say, well, this week we're going to talk about this topic. We're going to utilize a post, a video, an article, and a referral or a testimonial. It doesn't matter, how it's done during the week or what kind of resources you have, but at least you have an idea of what kind of content you want to share each of those days. So you can start very, very small and create your little monthly calendar and say, okay, this day I'm going to do a video. This day I'm going to do this. This day I'm going to do that. I'm going to be posting during these hours. And Hootsuite and Sprout Social are really good at telling you what times your customers can actually see your posts. So developing new content, for example, organic content is really important. What percentage of that will you do? Curating content, meaning outside sources, what percentage will you do during the week or during the month of curating content? How will you manage the content? Are you going to use the Meta Business Suite, Hootsuite, Sprout Social? Are you going to be using content from other platforms or, past content? Are you going to recycle it? Or are you going to separate posts telling a story so that people, want to go back and see what you have said so far? So this is really important and very helpful in doing so. The next part is super important, and that's to monitor how you're doing. So you have to come up with some key performance indicators of success. So how are you going to measure your goals? For example, here we have another table. I love tables. I think it gives you a good visual aid in looking at your goals. Increase number of followers to at least 1,000 for each platform for the year, 80 to 100 per month, for example. What's our key performance indicator? Well, we're going to take a look at the number of followers or the number of fans, however you want to do it. What's the formula? Well, there's no formula for that. Our target is just 80 to 100 new followers on each platform per month. And you can start very small like that, or you can have, if you have greater resources, you can say 500 to 600 followers a month if you have the ability to do so. Now, if your goal is to develop brand awareness or increase traffic to the spa, then you will definitely have to put the formula on there. So brand awareness, what does that mean? How do you measure that? So we want to take a look at the number of shares divided by the followers times 100. That'll give us a percentage. And it's going to be measured every quarter. So we want to have a 5% increase each quarter. And you have to do things that are very attainable. Again, you can't go with 20, 30, 50% if it's you, the only person who's doing it, and you don't have the help of other people. So this is a really, really useful tool that you can use. And as you can see, there are many different goals, different key performance indicators that you can utilize. Next, you have to know what your budget per month is. As you can see here, I've set the goals 1 through 7. And then we have additional goals like increase followers and traffic and bookings. And that takes money. So the total budget per month for this business will be anywhere from $665 to $1,000 per month so that we can attain the goals that we have set forth. So determining the resources for implementation is the key to attaining the goals and to be successful. If you only have $200 a month, which is okay, you can still do it. But at least you know that you cannot have a lot of goals because you have a small budget. So if you can play around with that and price how you will be spending your money, that will be very helpful in being reasonable and not expecting results that just don't go with your budget. Remember that platforms nowadays, social media platforms, they have been around for a while, more than 10 years already. So they're not free per se anymore. So in order to garner followers and fans, you have to pay to play. So make sure that you understand that if you want to reach people outside of your business page, or whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you have to pay to play in order to have an actual impact. So that's something to keep in mind as a business owner. And then, of course, you want to calculate return on investment, which is always very important. And one of the reasons why a lot of planning or non-planning fails is because you don't know if your efforts are actually bringing in any money or any people or creating awareness at all. So it's really good to know how are we going to calculate this? How is, are we creating awareness? Are we, tracking sales? Are we creating any sales based on what we are spending on social media? And you can ask your clients where they heard about you, and they can tell you from Facebook or from Instagram, from TikTok, etc. And another really great thing is that you can do a lot of analytics on social media. You can see the numbers and the percentages easily. So you can measure traffic, you can measure sales, shares, likes, comments, all that stuff. But one way of calculating a return on investment that is super simple is to figure out, okay, how many sales did we get out of our social media, whether it was $10,000, $5,000, $1,000. How much did you invest? So you subtract that. So your sales minus your investment divided by the investment, and you multiply it times 100. So for example, if you had $20,000 in sales, and let's say that you spent $10,000 on social media. So that gives you $10,000, right? And so if you divide that by the investment of $10,000, that's going to give you a 1. Okay, so you got 10,000 out of the 10,000 that you made, and you multiply that times 100. So that gives you 100%. So you invested 10,000, you got 10,000 back plus another 10,000 from your investment. So that is great. So if your investment is greater than your sales, then you're going to have a negative return on investment, and that's going to tell you directly that you must make changes to your social media strategies or your target. Maybe you're targeting the wrong person. All right, so I love to talk about all things social media. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to schedule a workshop or a consult, please email or call me. You have all of these different ways to contact 11D Marketing. You can schedule an appointment. You can email me, call, tweet, or connect through LinkedIn. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you for the next workshop.